Hey, this is Bruce Boudreau, and you're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mack, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 196 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. What's going on, buddy?
Not too much, man. The wintry mix finally hit us here in the Baltimore, Maryland area. I don't know how it was for you in the city. I'm about 45 minutes out. We got a very respectable 3 to 5 inches. What was stuff like for you in the city in terms of snowfall as Mac laughs at us?
Not too bad. I'd say maybe like two to tree, as the Irish would say, but nothing
Couple two
too,
tree.
yeah, nothing too shabby down here. But of course, people are in shambles, schools are canceled, and chaos ensues. But Mr. Mac Vogel up in Wisconsin, I'm sure has a word about that. My friend, we missed you last week. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm back and better than ever. I rose from the ashes of Indianapolis and have returned triumphantly to the great state of Wisconsin, where there's a lot of snow. I actually, unfortunately, due to circumstances outside of my control, my car was parked in my work parking lot for like 8 days while all the snow hit, and they run plows through the parking lot and stuff. So basically just got like plowed in. Um Worked from home yesterday on Monday, then today, Tuesday, got a lift into work with my roommate and had to kind of face the music of like, all right, well, time to see can this car start? And it's today there was a high of -1, by the way. So and even if it can
Jeez.
start, how hard is it going to be for me to dig this bitch out? So it did start, much to my surprise, pretty shocking. So let's get a little round of applause for that. It's pretty awesome.
I
And
mean, it was
then
just a great team effort overall, you know.
exactly. What really sucked though was trying to dig it out. I didn't have a shovel. They probably had one inside the building. I didn't really want to go back in there. I was like on my lunch break and I just really wanted to like go. So I actually took the Louisville Slugger out of my trunk that I just always have in there. And I just started kind of like hitting home runs of snow, like out from under my wheels, enough to clear the back wheels, like a little bit. And then I was just like, fuck this, got back in the car, just kind of like gunned it over the snow.
Fuck
I
yeah.
had to kind of rock back and forth a few times. I don't know if anyone was watching me outside the window, inside my office. Probably looked pretty ridiculous, but finally got out of there. And on the bright side of all this miserable weather, the local outdoor rink is officially open for business. So as soon
Ooh.
as I finish this episode here, I'm gonna drive on over there. It's like less than a half a mile from my house, just right in the park next door. So skirt on over there and play some late night puck action. They got the lights and everything. I'll try and throw something up on the EB story, but my fingies get a little cold out there, so we'll see.
Oh, I believe it, man.
Well, that sounds like a great Wisconsin winter that you're having up there. So glad that you can enjoy all the amenities that it has to offer. All right. Well, we got a jam-packed episode. It's great to have Mac back. We're going to talk some pens. We're going to talk some caps. We've got Corey Perry, Val Nichushkin. We've got Fleury. We've got all these things that we got to talk about. But before we get to all the good stuff, we just wrapped up a phenomenal interview with Chips Picks Daily. If you're not familiar with who he is, go follow him on Twitter. It's at Chips Picks Daily. He is what, in my opinion, probably one of the best, and if not the best at this very moment, gamblers in NHL on Twitter right now. Gives out free picks every single day. We dive into his psyche on what goes into his picks, how to read advanced analytics to make you a better hockey gambler, chat a little bit of Rangers, and he also gives us his Stanley Cup preview based on the numbers that he's running. So definitely go give him a follow on Twitter. and we just want to thank him again for joining us. That interview with Chips is brought to you by Prop Tracker. If you guys have been listening for a little bit, you know that Prop Tracker is your one-stop shop for gambling props. You can gamble on things such as receptions, rebounds, shots on goal, anything and everything. They give you all the stats that you need to make the best informed gambling decisions available. Go to proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters and get a free month on us for the app. After that, it'll be, I believe it's $11 a month. So if you're gambling enough, it's definitely worth it. I pay myself. Love it. Great app. proptracker.com/emptybetters. The word tracker does not have the letter E in there. So it's just tracker is TRACKR, proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters. You can also follow him on Twitter. Without further ado, we're going to toss it off to Chips Picks Daily right now. Alrighty, and I am now pleased to welcome to the Empty Betters podcast for the first time, one of the up-and-comers on the gambling Twitter space for the NHL, Chips Picks Daily, one of my favorite follows. I actually found him through my friend Turk, who has been on the show probably like 3 times in the past. So, Chips, I want to welcome you to the Empty Betters podcast.
Hey, boys, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Taking the night off. So
Likewise, I'm with you on that. So for those who don't know, go follow Chips Picks Daily on Twitter. Usually giving out some great NHL picks. Chip, I want to ask you, because you're one of the guys who I know maybe not every night because life gets in the way, but you're big on the write-ups, and I always enjoy reading those. And I've noticed that you're real big into the Corsi advanced analytics game. Is there a way you could dumb that down for the average Joe like me and kind of maybe explain to the everyday guy who wants to bet hockey how they could use that to their advantage?
So there's a couple websites that track advanced analytics, and essentially once you learn how to read them, it's not as difficult as it seems. And basically Corsi for percentage is shot attempts that each team takes. So if the Rangers play the Devils, if the Rangers take 10 shot attempts and the Devils take 5 shot attempts, they basically put that in a percentage. So all it's telling you is shot attempts per team. But essentially the theory is the more shot attempts you're taking, the more possession of the puck you have. So that's just kind of telling you how much puck possession there is. And then there's goals for percentages, expected goals for percentages. They basically put a numerical value on scoring chances. So shots that were taken from a pass across the slot have a numerical value and so on and so forth. So teams rack those up throughout the game, and then they put a percentage on it based on the total number and which team had each. So all the numbers do are just give you a reference for how the team is playing. But more importantly, once you know the numbers, if you watch the game, the numbers just back up what your eyeballs see.
Okay. Is moneypuck.com one of the ones you use? I'm just curious.
Natural Stat Trick is the one that I use.
Okay, gotcha.
And I use that, and it's I know there's people that are super big on eye test versus analytics. I never understood why people would die on one of those hills. They're super passionate about it too, both ways.
Yeah.
I'm just eye test only. I don't, which I never understood because there were 16 games on Saturday night. So you didn't watch all 16 games and eye test it out. So then the next time the team plays, you go on ESPN.com or NHL.com and you're looking up goalie statistics or power play statistics. That's just analytics. It's just a little more superficial. Yeah. And then the analytics people will be a game will happen, your team will win, and somebody from the other team will send you a deserve to win-o-meter. I don't know if you guys have come across.
I've seen a lot of the
and I'm just oh my gosh, are you kidding me, man? The game was played on the ice.
Yeah, so, that's a big one on Penguins and Capitals Twitter. I'm sure we can all
deserve to win every night, man. And the Capitals the other way.
The Caps are the other way. Every time I've got friends that are fans of a lot of different teams. I'm a huge Caps guy, and almost every time I play somebody who I know, somebody who's a fan of that team, they send me like, just so you know, you didn't deserve to
Oh.
win or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
Devil
like,
fans, or last year it was just every game. I was like, oh my gosh.
So I love that you just kind of brought both those points up, because you have people who die on the hill of eye test and people who die on the hill of analytics. And listen, I am not by any means an analytics guy, but I do take like stats into consideration. So I want to ask you this, like, other than using, natural stat trick, like Corsi, expected goals for, whatever, do you look at anything else? Like for me personally, I'll say this, like something I've been really emphasizing lately is previous head-to-head matchups. I've seen a lot of people writing up about that, and I don't put like, all my weight into it, but I will say, like, I look at that and I definitely take it into consideration. Is that something you do?
Yeah, I mean, there's a game tonight. I think Calgary's playing Arizona tonight, and they just played like a couple days ago. And if you look at those numbers, like the Corsi percentage, expected goals for, shot attempts for, and stuff like that, Arizona dominated that game. I think they lost 6-3 or something like that. That's a game that I would bounce back to and be like, I think, because you know how hard it is to beat a team twice in a couple of days, and especially the team outplayed the other team that lost. That's a game that I was looking at tonight. I just didn't feel like playing anything tonight because I'm with you guys and whatever. But I do look at head to heads and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing that I tend to do versus what others do is that I'm not afraid to use a 2 to like 8 game sample. And I think that people who have models and people who have trends, which is so awesome, like they're so smart for like being able to just like have models just in general, but they're taking into consideration like stats and games that were played in October. And it's January 6th. I don't even know the date, 16th. It's January 16th. Like that shouldn't factor into what happens, like how you pick a game tonight. So if you're looking at a goaltender's like goals against average, or if you're looking at just like season long Corsi 4, it's like, well, how is the team playing in the last 5 games? Because like their whole month of November is going to factor into their statistics, but they're not the same team from November. So that's kind of where I think I differ. If you look at my tweets and stuff like that, it's last 2 games, last 3 games, last 5 games, because I'll take their season long Corsi 4 percentage, and then I'll see their last 5 games. And if there's like a significant uptick, you would be like, hey, this team's actually like playing pretty good hockey right now. Like Columbus, I took Columbus yesterday over Vancouver. They were plus 180. Columbus is
Shootout, yeah.
playing pretty good right now. Yeah, shootout. And they're playing pretty good right now. And that was, so you could kind of sniff out those lines that maybe Vegas doesn't necessarily pick up on.
It's really
I love
interesting.
that because I mean, obviously we all know hockey especially is such a game of like momentum. And I mean, you look at like take the Leafs, for example, like if you're factoring like their whole season, how many different guys have played goalie for them already this season?
Right.
Like that's like a totally different team now versus when they started. And you could say that about a handful of different teams. So that's a good
Walsh should be coming back. I saw that today. But yeah, they're, that's like they're tricky to handicap, and like Edmonton is tricky to handicap because their numbers are awesome, their underlying numbers, and then they just don't have a goalie. And like my brain can't comprehend like how could your like numbers be this good and like you just aren't winning hockey. The Penguins, I don't know the Penguins. I have no idea. They are like the best analytic hockey team out there, and they just don't win any hockey games.
Yeah.
Best worst hockey team of all time.
Yeah.
I'm extremely aware of this myself.
And the Rangers last like 6 or 8 games, they've played their best analytic hockey, and they've played the worst hockey this season. So I don't know.
You're a Rangers guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've cooled off the past couple, like 6 to 7 games a little bit.
Yeah, they, I don't know. They're like I said, they haven't been playing terribly, but they I think they were like 32nd in goaltending over the past like 8 games or something like that. So yeah, Shesterkin hasn't been good, Quick hasn't been good, so that doesn't help. And then they miss Kakko. I know he's not Jack Hughes, but they miss Kakko and they miss Hedel. So they, but they'll bounce back. They're okay. They're a good team.
I think they're absolutely loaded. You alluded to this a little bit earlier on, and just bringing up Igor and Quickie. Let's talk about this real quick. How much emphasis do you put on the goaltending matchup or a goaltender in specific? We've had guys on the show that are like, I live and die by that. We've got guys on the show that are like, I've never even looked at that, to be honest. What about
I don't
yourself?
look at it that much, honestly. I really don't care that much. It's so arbitrary. I never, it doesn't make or break it. Sometimes when you're taking overs, you'll look at the goaltending and stuff like that, but it's all about volume and when you like, again, when you look at like underlying numbers, you could kind of see the pace that these teams are playing at, how many shot attempts they're getting a game and stuff like that. Like Carolina's numbers are really, they're always fantastic analytically, but they don't allow a lot of shot attempts for, and they don't really take a ton themselves. They're not like top of the league, so you kind of see the pace they play at. They just kind of trap you in and lock you in. So you could kind of get that from the numbers as well. But there, you can't always go by analytics. That's why I'm not like this huge analytics guy. If I was, I mean, Carolina should have a Stanley Cup every year for the past 5 years. It's just not the way the NHL is built. And I don't know if this is right or wrong, but the league changes so much once the playoffs start. And like, I don't know if it's fair to like Carolina or
It's
New
two
Jersey.
different seasons in one.
Exactly. And like, see, Carolina is built for like regular season hockey. And then
Right.
the postseason comes and maybe they're just not built the way that it's supposed to be built for when the spring comes and they don't win.
Yeah, I think you can say Toronto's had a little bit of that as well. You can probably say the same thing about Edmonton and those teams that have been like highly touted and then struggled in the postseason as well.
Yeah, I don't know the formula is just to be big and like good up the middle. Like I don't know if that's really, you know, I think that's it. Vegas last year, I mean, their defensemen and the back line of that Vegas team, all those defensemen were huge. Those Tampa Bay teams, those defensive were massive.
Yeah.
And then you get guys like teams like trying to sign like Luke Shen and, Toronto trying to make these plays for these guys to, become harder to play against. And I'm like, I don't think that the guy's not good at hockey. I don't know if that,
Yeah, I definitely hear you. And Nick, it's funny you bring that up, and I'm just using this game as an example. I'd be interested to hear this recording when this goes up tomorrow. The game will already be over. I think tonight, as we're recording this, Ottawa plays Colorado. The over-under was at 7, and I know a lot of people were like hesitant on that 7 number, myself included. I didn't take it. But both goalies starting in that game are making their first career start. So, like, when I see that, that's a crapshoot. I don't know how that'll go.
Yeah, I watched Colorado last night. I think that game's gonna go over.
Probably.
I really do. But I don't know. I have a funny feeling that game's going over though. Colorado. I watched them play last night. Georgiev let up a goal last night. I'm like, oh my God, their goaltending stinks too. Colorado,
it's abysmal.
They're not the same team as they were a couple years ago. I know betting, like Vegas thinks they're like super high on the betting favorite to win the cup. I don't see it at all.
You sound like Mac. You sound like Mac.
Yeah,
I'm always saying that on the show.
I think if anything, they've gotten like closer on the good playoff team spectrum to Edmonton. Like they have a ton of great forwards. They just can't keep the puck out of their own net to save their life right now.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that team that won the cup was like maybe one of the best teams of our lifetime.
Yeah.
If you look at the roster that year, they had like Kadri was their third line center. I mean, Burakovsky, they had guys
stacked.
They were stacked.
I want to ask you this. Who are 3, maybe not 3, but like 2 or 3 teams that you've had a lot of success on this year where you feel like you have a pretty good read on them?
The Wild.
Ooh, okay. That's an interesting one.
They were a weird team. They didn't play well to start. And then they weirdly played really well in the middle of the season, right before they were about to fire their coach. And their numbers really ticked up. And Vegas didn't account for those numbers ticking up. And I was able to hit a bunch of bets there where they kind of got hot. And then Kaprizov got hurt, Zuccarello got hurt, Gustafson got hurt, and they started playing like crap again. And then I've been fading them the past like 2-3 weeks a bunch. And Washington's been another team that I know I hate to say it, but their numbers are terrible. Like they get outshot every game. They get caved in every game. And then Lindgren got hurt. Lindgren was playing really well, and I think that kind of suppressed a lot of stuff. But then Darcy Kemper had to start a bunch of games, and he was not very good. And then
you like their unders a lot,
struggled
if I'm not
with-
mistaken.
Yeah, they do hit a lot of under. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, which
Lindgren's
is so
pretty good.
atypical for like Caps fans. Like I
Yep.
can't even get used to that. But yeah, we consistently score like 2 goals or like just no goals. We've been shut out like 4 or 5 times this year, I think.
They're in such a weird spot, like as a
Yep.
franchise.
They really are.
I don't know what to say. They're holding on with Ovi, I suppose, right? Like trying to be
You have
competitive,
to.
but they need to
Yeah.
just tear it down.
So you got Caps, Wild, any other teams that you feel like you're pretty good with?
I don't bet on the Rangers much. I try not to. Edmonton, I haven't hit as much as you would think. They're really good though. No, those two I've done pretty good with. And then Vegas overs for a while there, and Dallas overs too. I mean, and I think a lot of people are hitting those Dallas overs at home and stuff like that as well. Their goaltending. Once Ottinger went down, they can't stop anybody, and they really like play with a ton of pace.
Yeah, they've got that crazy stat. I think when Dallas is at home, the over is hit like 14 straight games or something outlandish like that.
They've been, and Nashville's been another team too that they're a pretty good team. Their numbers, that Andrew Burnett's their coach. He came over from New Jersey and he was in Florida 2 years ago, and he's got them playing really high tempo hockey. They're a pretty good team, and their roster's not that great.
They've got some fun young guys that are great to watch, though. Luke Evangelista has had an awesome year to start the season, and I mean, he is absolutely filthy with the puck.
And their goaltending hasn't been that good either, despite it. So they're a pretty good team. I don't know how people let that coach I don't like Florida fired him. I guess they went to the Cup the next year, so you can't say much, but I'm surprised more people weren't after that guy as a head coach. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I live in Milwaukee, and I feel like I go to a decent amount of Milwaukee Admirals games, and I feel like this year, like half of the Predators are dudes I've been watching in the AHL for the last like year and a half, and it's cool to see. But I mean, I agree with you. It's just kind of wild that they're playing decent hockey, but a lot of nobodies on that roster, like you said.
They're one of those teams, though, that like can just go into a building on any given night and beat anyone. They are like tough enough to do that. It's just what version of them shows up on that given night.
And they're super interesting too, because Trotz is running that team. So you would think they wouldn't play that style of hockey. I'm shocked that pairing worked between those two guys. Because I know with the Islanders that those teams are pretty good too, but it was boring hockey to watch. They just lock you up in the neutral zone and stuff like that. But that's going to work out. That city's awesome though. So they're lucky people.
I got 2 more questions for you. So one, I noticed this, and if you have a reason why, feel free to shoot. Not really dabbling in the player prop market too much. Is that not really your speed?
No, I can't figure it out. I have no. I don't. I use the analytics numbers, and that accumulates for like 20 guys on the roster. So you have to figure that night in, night out, 20 guys go in, 18 are going to play like themselves, or, and the numbers will kind of be consistent. When it's one person, it's hit or miss. You don't know, especially with shot totals. There's no way for me to figure out how to handicap shot totals unless my thinking is this team lets up a lot of shots against.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. And it's I've had guys I put player props in shots on goal totals, and I've seen guy miss the net like 4 times. And I'm like, well,
it's stressful.
Yeah.
It also sucks with like how they score it and stuff. Like there'll be something that you're like, I don't know, I think that's a shot, and it's just not for whatever it's in. Or like the worst is like, I remember this happened to me once or twice in the span of like a couple weeks, and it just turned me sour on player props for a long time. You pick a guy and he gets hurt like the first shift, and he's just out for the game, and it's like, well, now I don't even have a chance anymore.
Yeah, game over.
Plus, if they're on drinking the night before and stuff. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on in these guys' personal lives. Like, I
True.
don't know what they're going to show up to the rink like on the day to day. I
Yep.
have no idea. So,
Yeah, what did this dude have for dinner, and how's that going to affect him?
yeah,
Right.
right.
Last question. We ask everybody this who comes on the show, and it's great timing because every single team, I believe, has 40 games under their belt. So we're basically at the halfway point. So you get the luxury of kind of having some eyeballs on the league so far. Stanley Cup final prediction and a winner.
I think Edmonton
Ooh.
goes. I think they're going to get a goalie soon. I think what's his name from Columbus is going to end up there. Something tell Merzlikins.
Elvis.
Merzlikins. Oh,
I think
okay.
so. I see either there or Jersey, but he's going to end up going somewhere. They should take a flyer on it. But if they get a goalie, I think them. I think the Panthers might go back. They're so good, Florida. Like they're built so well. But I'm telling you, I told my friends this in the beginning of the year. If Pittsburgh sneaks in, and people think they're people think they're old and slow. I'm telling you, if they sneak in, they got a shot. I really believe it.
See, I'm glad you said that because I'm in the same boat as Mac. I'm a Caps fan. I hate the Penguins. But what I've been trying to say on this podcast for like 3 months now is the Penguins are the Patriots. They will be good until they're not. They will be championship contenders until they're not.
If Crosby didn't get hurt 2 years ago, they would have won the cup. They would have beat the Rangers. They would have won the cup. I'm 100% convinced of it.
I swear to God, I think the same way. And listen, no like hostility. I have friends who are Rangers fans. I'm used to it. Like I take it the punch on the chin. It is what it is. But I also stand by that. They were loaded that year, and we had you guys on the ropes. And then obviously we know what happened, and it ruined my vacation in North Carolina. I've said that on the show 10 times probably. But yeah, no, we'll see. So you think Florida, Edmonton probably? Is that going to be your
Florida, Edmonton? Yeah,
I think traveling
so.
Nightmare. Holy shit. That's about as
just what the NHL wants, man, is Florida, Edmonton.
It's about as far away of an away game as you can play.
Can you guys just start? The one thing I'll say before is like that the NHL wouldn't mind that Stanley Cup. They need to move the season back and start it in December and then run it like through July and August. Maybe there's like ice surface issues. I get it, but it should not be running parallel to the NBA playoffs, and you would get so much more eyes on it and gambling on it if it was the only sport running in the summertime.
And the ice would be a lot better. There's so many buildings that have an NBA and an NHL team, and the ice is just dog shit every night because they're switching it back and forth constantly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you started around the Winter Classic. No one watches like those dog days of baseball anyway in the middle of like July and August. Just people want to gamble on anything. If you make it the only sport available in July and August to bet on, plus it's like your biggest and best product because everybody loves the NHL playoffs, they would make bajillion more fans. It would be huge. I don't know.
Would you be in favor of them shortening the season, maybe going down to like 60 to get that done, or would you want it to stay at 82?
I guess you could keep it at 82 just and start it in like the beginning of December. So you don't even have to run parallel with football season either, because that's almost over. And then you have it go. I hope Gary Bettman's listening. I really do.
He needs to be.
Us too.
He usually does.
He usually does. He's usually sending us in the chat.
He might be in Aruba this week, but you never know.
Well,
and I'm going to make you pick a winner just because out of Florida, Edmonton.
McDavid's he's got to eventually get it done here.
All right.
Before he's a New York Ranger.
Word.
Yeah, I've seen those good. By the way, did you see? I can't believe you just said that because that's exactly what all of our fans think about Rangers fans. Like they already talked about McDavid.
Yeah, please. I have to do it for the Rangers fans.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right, Chips. Well, we appreciate it. That was awesome. I'd love to have you back on as the season goes on. And good luck. I think you're up this is your chance to toot your own horn. You're up 26 units or something on the year?
Yeah, I 28 or something like that. I don't know, but I just
fuck yeah, dude.
I just like to be transparent and picks every night, recaps every night, so people know this is what you're getting. So at least that I don't have I'm not on my phone and in the camera as much. So it's just as simple as just if you follow me, these are the picks, follow them every day, and you'll make some money.
I love that.
Give them a follow, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Chips picks daily, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, we appreciate it once again. We'll definitely have you back on this season, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
A huge thanks to Chips. That was a great interview. First time we actually got to like meet him, speak to him, so it was nice to get to know him. Some great Rangers insight. Hopefully, some of his tips will help you guys this season. And I can't emphasize this enough. Go follow him on Twitter. He's really good follow. So, uh,
Yeah, that was awesome. It was great to chat with him, and I think he had some really, really good insight into what goes into his decision making with making picks.
And he also blew a whole bunch of penguin smoke up Harry's ass.
Yeah, he
Pretty
did
cool,
too.
yeah, I can't reverse jinx him now. I think that ship has sailed. So unfortunately, he kind of put me on the spot there. But you know what? We'll talk all things Penguins here shortly. I know some people at the steering wheel are thrilled about the thought of that. So bear with us real quick. We're gonna hop into the news for the episode. But before we do, we just want to remind you guys that this episode is brought to you by Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It is Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh. Brackish Life. I would definitely be in the market for one of those hoodies. Given the weather right now, go check them out.
And shameless plug, I will be wearing one of my Brackish Life long sleeves in a little bit when I'm out there on the outdoor ring.
Nice.
Keeps you warm, base layer.
Yeah, a little sweat wicking material too, not too shabby. All right, let's hop into the news here. So the biggest piece, well, I don't know if I'd say biggest, but the biggest milestone that we're going to talk about here. We mentioned it last week when he tied it. We're going to mention it this week when he beats it. Marc-Andre Fleury, with his 552nd career win against the Islanders on Monday night, surpassed Patrick Roy and is now in sole possession of the second most wins in NHL history. He is now only behind Martin Brodeur on the NHL's all-time win list. Brodeur holds the record with a, I would say, highly untouchable 691 wins. And Fleury's in second at 552, just to put it in perspective. That is craziness.
That's kind of like the Gretzky points one, where it's just like, okay, well, besides that, he's the best, because we just got to kind of push that one aside and not even look at it because it'll never be touched, like you said.
No, you kind of have to look at just everyone else, because unless the NHL adds like 30 more games in its season, I don't see anyone ever catching that record.
I mean, I just want to give a huge shout out to Fleury. I've got a little Penguins bias here, as you all probably know, but just one of the most likable guys who's ever come into the league. The number one pick in that 2003 draft. Many would say that's probably the greatest NHL draft ever. And the fact that he was the number one pick and now he's second all time in goaltender wins, I think that speaks volumes to him. He's got 3 cups, second all time in wins. I know some of those cups, maybe he wasn't the starter, but first ballot Hall of Famer, and I just couldn't be happier for Fleury.
No, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, I feel like when we look at NHL records, everyone by default goes to points or goals. But in terms of goaltending, I mean, this is huge. This is probably as big as it's going to get, as we've alluded to. And, I don't really think that people paid enough attention to this as it was happening. I don't think it got the attention it should have when he achieved it. So hats off to Flower, because while he may have tortured me for most of my youth, this is really impressive.
Also want to throw in there that he did in fact win a Vezina. I was blanking on if he did or not, but that COVID year, 2020 into 2021, he did win his first and only Vezina. So yeah, I mean, I would say for sure first ballot Hall of Famer, just given everything we're looking at. But shout out to Flower. The Wild are in shambles, but at least he's doing well. All right. The NHL and the NHLPA announced on Monday that Colorado Avalanche forward Val Nichushkin has entered the NHLPA Player Assistance Program. Some, kind of unfortunate news here. He's been lighting it up this year so far. 40 games played. He's got 42 points. He's 10th in the league in goals with 22. I mean, he's been playing really well for the Avs, so this is going to definitely be a detriment to their lineup. Obviously, last season, I know a lot of people are thinking about this, but he left in the middle of their playoff series against the Kraken. after that whole Seattle hotel room incident that we talked about last year when it happened. So there's obviously a little bit of history here with, the assistance program and now re-entering. He did issue a statement. I'm not going to read it. It's pretty long. If you want to go see it for yourself, you can look at the Avalanche Instagram. But thoughts on, Val and how this will impact the Avalanche?
I'd say a couple bright spots that you can look to if you're an Avs fan and you're upset about this, which you should be because he's been real good for you guys this year. Duran has kind of finally found his mojo, so that's encouraging. The other thing I've heard is that Artturi Lehkonen is set to come back very soon. Could even happen this week, I'm told. So I think if Val was still playing, Lehkonen probably would have slotted in on like second or third line. But I think, with Nichushkin out, there's potential for Artturi to step into that role and fill that gap. I know he definitely was better for Montreal than he's been so far in his tenure with the Avs. But hey, maybe this is his chance to step up.
Yeah, I think you make a great point about Duran and talk about a bittersweet moment. Like, obviously, this is sad and we wish nothing but the best for Nichushkin, and hopefully everything is, clean cut and dry there. But with Duran, I know this is a guy that we had some high hopes for going into the season. He's obviously been through his ups and downs. So to see him performing so well is just fantastic to see, I think. And, we've talked about the Avs potentially being vulnerable. I think this is, the Duran thing stepping in to fill in for Nichushkin is exactly something that could keep them afloat for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mac. I think you texted this in the group the other day, but it's pretty insane that he's tied for, I'm talking about Val here, tied for 10th in the league in goals. I mean, he's having a really strong year.
Yeah, I think he also, last I checked, he also has like more than half of those goals on the power play. Like he's been a PP1 machine, just like a lock out there for the first power play unit and finishing his chances when he gets them. So,
and like you said, Lehkonen coming back, Duran finding his groove. I mean, Ross Colton's definitely going to get his chance here. He's been
pretty good.
Yeah, he's been a good young bright spot for the Avs after winning a Stanley Cup with the Bolts. So let's see what he can do here with some of that second line time going to him.
I think he should also get, I mean, this is daily faceoff, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think he might get first power play time as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that wouldn't surprise me. But obviously thoughts and prayers with Val, hoping everything gets sorted out there. And honestly, a little round of applause for him, going to fix the problem. I mean, we're talking about how it affects the Avs. Obviously, we have to. It's a hockey pod, but on the humanitarian side of things, obviously proud that he's trying to get things sorted here. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well said.
if you read his statement, it definitely explains a lot and it was well worded. So, moving on, we talked about this a little bit with Chips in the interview, but Mr. Elvis Merzlikins of the Columbus Blue Jackets, he's officially requested a trade from the team this season. He has a 8-8-6 record with a 906 save percentage and a 3.22 GA. Any buyers you can think of, well, think again, because with one of the funniest posts on Instagram you'll see this year, NHL Discussion just broke the news that there is, quote, zero interest from all teams for Elvis Merzlikins. And one of the big reasons why, 3 years left with an AAV of 5.4 mil. That's a pretty hefty contract to take on for a goalie who doesn't have that good of numbers. What do you guys think?
I think when he first came into the Jackets org, I was bigger on him. When it was kind of him and Korpisalo battling it out for lead in that cage, I was kind of an Elvis guy. He impressed me early on. Since then, especially this season, he's been, pretty mid at best, but you've also got to remember he plays for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, it's always a challenge to win when you play for a bad team. So it's like, yeah, maybe sending him somewhere else with more offensive firepower could change things. You never know. I think there's probably zero interest initially because the Jackets probably haven't started like actively like shopping him with like deals and stuff. So on paper, yes, you see that AAV and you see that term and you're like, fuck no, I'm not paying for that. However, I do think there could be a deal to be made I believe kind of similar to what Chips was saying with like Edmonton could need somebody, Jersey could need somebody. There's a handful of teams, right, that come to mind that could maybe take a flyer on this guy. That being said, there would have to be some sort of, retainment of salary going on, I would think, or something else tossed in to really sweeten the deal, or the Jackets taking something off of the other team's hands that also made it worthwhile. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, we've still got a little ways to go before the trade deadline. I don't expect this to be something that happens in the next like week or two. I'd put it closer to like a month or even like closer to right when the deadline happens. But yeah, I do think he could help somebody out, even though he hasn't been great for the Jackets.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think this is like zero interest right now, but sets up a deadline move is basically what this is saying. I think at the deadline, he'll go to, someone who's just looking for like sort of a fresh injection into their goaltending system. Maybe they've got like a 1A, 1B. They want him as the 1B. Maybe it's a team that's like, hey, we've got absolutely nothing. Come in and start and let's see what happens. I think maybe wherever he goes next, don't try and decapitate Tom Wilson and then have to get bailed out for it. You probably learned that lesson the hard way. So
hilarious.
That one was getting thrown in.
Yeah, of course.
So what I'm hearing is that
go.
What I'm hearing is that Elvis would like to leave the building.
But he has not left
the building
it yet. Yeah, he's in the lobby, like, between like the double sets of doors. He's like a ping pong ball in there, bouncing back and forth.
He's asking for permission to leave the building, and no one has granted him access.
He's swiping his key card, trying to get out, and it's just like, no.
Try asking again.
An attendant is coming to your help.
There you go.
Yeah, I hate when that happens at the self-checkout grocery lines where you have to have the bagging area, and then when you lift it off the bagging area before you pay, it's like assistance is on the way. I'm like, I don't need assistance, I need to pay. But
dude, and then the attendant gets over there and they're all pissed. They're like,
you mean when grocery TSA shows up and is all pissed off?
And they're huffing and puffing. They're like, what do you, and it's like, dude, I don't know. Fucking scan your card or whatever, dude.
Yeah, it's like, I have no idea how this cooler got rung up as red seedless grapes. That wasn't me. That was clearly your system.
I know I'm holding 3 deodorant sticks and I only scanned none of them, but it was a mistake, okay?
Because they were in the bagging area. Yeah, exactly. You're following along here, people. Speaking of following along, all right, Corey Perry. He met with Gary Bettman last week on his own willingly. Didn't have to do this. And he is officially cleared to sign with a team and resume play. Just to clarify, Perry was not technically ineligible to play, but teams definitely would be wary of signing him unless the league gave it a blessing. I think that's why he went to go talk to Bettman last week. So he's back on the market. There are already some teams who are speculated to be interested. The Oilers, the Penguins, the Devils, and the Senators all have been rumored by several TSN reporters to be interested. Your thoughts, comments, concerns, and laughter are appreciated on this one, gentlemen.
Corey Perry to the Penguins just makes me like violently ill to my stomach.
But it makes so much sense.
But like that's like the thing that's going to happen. We all know that's going to happen now.
I could also see like Ottawa or I could see the Oilers. Maybe Devils probably makes the least sense out of those 4 teams that you listed, to me at least. Although they do kind of need somebody with a little bit of grit, I guess. Do they have who could kick somebody's ass on the Devils? Am I missing somebody? Why can't I think
what's that one?
Like Severson? Does he drop mitts at all?
Probably could. I wouldn't say he's itching to do so, but
I don't really think they
I mean, not that Perry really drops.
Do they still have Miles Wood, or did they ship him to Colorado?
No, he's on Colorado.
Yeah.
What's his nuts? There's that one defenseman.
They have Siegenthaler. He's a big guy.
But he's a pretty boy. He doesn't.
Yeah.
His last name is Ball, Bahl. You guys remember him
Kevin.
from that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they have him.
Yeah. It's like a depth. Well, he was on the team last year. I think he's a depth D guy, so I don't know if he's still there. But
I mean, yeah, he'd kick your ass for sure. He'd kick my ass.
And kick you right in the balls.
Yeah.
He is still. No, he's on the kite. Wait, where is this guy play?
Honestly, that's kind of the wrong question because
he's on. According to Daily Faceoff, he's on their second PK unit.
Okay, I haven't
Yeah.
watched a lot of
Okay.
Devils games, as you can
My
probably
point
tell,
here
but-
is it's not like Perry necessarily is about to drop the gloves either, but he's a guy that maybe a team that needs somebody with a little more like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's gonna
would
go in
after.
there and like mix it up. You know, it's like if
Yeah,
a team
lay
is
a couple
sneaking into the
questionable hits
playoffs and like if
and,
someone gets hurt, hey, we need a forward that can come in and fourth line, create some chaos.
Yep.
He's your guy.
For sure.
I'm
The worm.
so down for Corey Perry to the Penguins. I'm incredibly okay with this. Now, granted, in my brain, I'm like, dude, you guys are old. You don't need another geezer. He'd be the oldest guy on the team. And I'm like, you don't need that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, fourth line. They always have that one guy rotating. Sometimes days it's Hinostroza and Nieto's been injured. So I'm like, I'd rather have Corey Perry than both those guys.
Yeah.
But seeing Corey Perry and Jeff Carter on the same line might actually make me want to kill myself.
Oh my God.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm down with it. I'm all
Give
right.
me Corey Perry to LA at the deadline just to watch the Ducks fans kill themselves.
That would be pretty funny.
I'd love to hear Morgan Miller's opinions on that. And then lastly on the news segment, Nick or Mac, I'm not sure which one of you guys would want to touch on this, but Mr. Terry Ryan.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to Terry Ryan. I'm sure those of you that are plugged into the hockey community saw this, but obviously, you know, he played in the show for a little while and then has gone into acting in his post-playing career. He was on Shoresy, Little Splash and Letterkenny as well, but shout out to him, suited up in the ECHL at 47, dropped the mitts, was out there mixing it up with the Newfoundland Grounders, or Growlers, I think it is. Yeah. So just want to say a quick shout out to him and hopefully getting him on the podcast here soon. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, definitely go check out the Newfoundland Growlers Twitter page. And there's like a 10 or 15 minute post-game conference of him just kind of giving the whole story from start to finish. Really entertaining. Super awesome story just to hear it straight from him, how it all went down. Pretty cool story. So definitely go check that out. It'll paint the picture a lot better than we can here. So,
And like Nick said, kind of been going back and forth, hoping to get him on the pod here shortly. So stay tuned for that. All right, we're going to move on to the discussion portion of the episode. But before we do, I think Nick has a word from our sponsor, Kane Footwear.
Yep, that's right. You know, I'm sure Terry Ryan was a little bit sore at 47 after going out there and throwing some hands. So he's probably rocking his Kane Footwear today because Kane Footwear is the best way for you to recover while being the best shoe around for the environment. The Kane Revive is made with bounce back foam, which is made from sugarcane technology from Brazil. It's a renewable resource, so it helps the environment, helps you recover, helps you feel your absolute best the next morning when you wake up. They did just restock all their colorways for 2024. So head to the link in our bio today to get a pair of the most comfortable shoes you will ever own.
Absolutely. Also sponsoring the PWHL, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw that post from Kane Footwear the other day on Instagram. So definitely cool to see that. All righty, the discussion portion. We're going to talk about a team for probably the 8th time this season, every single time for a different reason, which is pretty insane. We just talked about him a little bit with Chips in the interview, but the Edmonton Oilers all of a sudden are the hottest team in the National Hockey League with 10 straight wins. As we are recording this, they are playing a game at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Shout out NHL for putting that only on regional coverage. Don't advertise your superstars on national. Why would you ever do that? Makes no sense. Anyways, I digress.
Two biggest teams in Canada going up against each other, right?
Yeah, and you can't watch it unless you have,
Right.
like it's just don't get me started. Anyways,
don't get me started either because I'm really like, I know we always talk about it, but I don't know if I've ever been more frustrated with like the NHL broadcasting situation than I have been in the last like.
No, it's a complete dingus committee right now.
I like actually don't want to talk about it, so let's move on.
actually,
That's it. Podcast over now. I'm going to bed.
Usually when we say that, it means we kind of want to dive into it and trash them. But Mac is like, no,
No, it's like actually gonna like give me a headache if we talk about it. So let's keep going.
So 10 straight wins for the Oil. They're outscoring their opposition 39-17 during that 10-game span. Now, I know we talked about the goaltender market with Chips earlier. I'm not sold that this is going to last, but Stuart Skinner has been really good during their win streak. So of that 10-game win streak, he has started 7 games. In those 7 games, he's obviously 7-0. with a 951 save percentage, a 1.41 GAA, and a stunning 9.89 goals saved above expected, according to Natural Stat Trick. That's your advanced analytics for you from me. Obviously, we know McDavid, Nuge, Hyman, best line in hockey over the last, I'd say, month. Hyman's on pace to score 55 goals this season. I don't know if, like, where the fuck did that come from? Thoughts on the Oilers?
I have Hyman on fantasy, so that's sick. That's my first thought.
What round did you draft him? Do you know?
Oh, like 7th or
Oh,
something.
really high, man.
That's a steal. Well, I mean, like, you don't know, like, I feel like the guys who get to play on the top line with McDavid, maybe they get that higher projection and you bite, but 7th round, yeah, that's a steal.
It might have been sooner than that. I only remember like my first 2 or 3 picks, but he was at least the highest he was 4th. So either way, I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how we've gone from the beginning of the season to where we're at now. Now we've got guys on the coming on for the interview guest and saying that they think the Oilers are going to win the cup. When, just a couple months ago, it was like doomsday and like completely in shambles. So we all kind of knew it would happen, right? We talked about it even while it was happening. We're like, well, but it can't last, right? They'll still figure it out, and they have. I don't know. It's like what you said though. Is Stuart Skinner him? I don't know. Probably not. But like for right now, it's working. So I guess you got to ride the hot hand.
My thing, I feel like when I come to, like, I know we've gone back and forth on this team 8 different times and talked about how they've been 8 different teams in the span of, mid-October to now. When I crest into like the new year, so like now shifting from 23 into 24, now my brain starts to work in where are you at in the standings? And this team is in the 2nd wild card spot. And so my initial reaction to that is, are they a playoff team? And I think this team can get into the playoffs. I don't think this team will survive in the playoffs, to be honest. I think with, whichever Stuart Skinner shows up, this defense is a problem.
Yeah.
And it's not just like the defenseman, it's team defense is a problem. Who would you guys say, if I posed you this question, is the best defenseman on the Edmonton Oilers right now?
Oh, like the best defensive defenseman?
Yeah, just best defenseman.
I mean, overall, I don't know. I mean, I know he's got more known for his offense, but like Evan Bouchard's probably the guy I'd choose. I don't know.
I'm very torn between Bouchard and Ekholm. I can tell you who it's not. It's the guy they're paying like $9.5 million right now.
Yeah.
Who Darnell Nurse or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. It's
yeah, I'd probably say Ekholm, but yeah, it's rough. I do think that kind of what we were talking about again with Chips, with teams that are built for the playoffs, teams that are built for the regular season. I'm sorry, man. I just feel like this team is so easy to expose in the playoffs. Like you get to the playoffs and it's like, oh, I know your trick. I know your one like little like trick that you have. We're just going to shadow the fuck out of like your top line basically. And beyond that, we're just going to expose the fuck out of your defense and boom, it's over. Like
they basically look at it and go, okay, if you do McDavid and Draisaitl separate, we're going to do A. And if you do them together, we'll do B and we'll be fine.
Yeah. There's two things. Yeah, exactly. And they just choose based on that. The goaltending shrinks under pressure every time. So I'm kind of with you, Nick. I think they'll probably find a way to get in because they always do. Hell, maybe they'll win 20 games in a row and win the division even.
Right.
But even if they do, I just don't. Something, again, we've said it a million times, something's got to change. This team's not winning a cup.
Like, does this give you
on the back end?
Does this give you like early 2000 Capitals vibes at all? Like, I'm not talking like the 2010 teams that were winning the President's Trophy, but like the 08, 09 playoff teams, maybe?
In some ways it does. I think the problems are a little bit different because the goaltending wasn't ever necessary. Well, I wouldn't say it was never the problem, but it wasn't the problem year in and year out for the Caps. But defensive wise, you could make some comparisons, and like front loaded wise, you definitely could make some comparisons. So I get that.
So if you're watching this on YouTube and you're saying these guys don't know what they're talking about and you're from Alberta, we have talked about this team for the last 3 months, every episode, when they were bad, when they were back on the rise, the coach firing, after the coach firing, before the new year, after the new year, 10-game wins. We've talked about the Oilers at length.
I think,
And
like, going a step further, I think we've probably mentioned this team on this podcast or in our group chat to each other for the last 500 consecutive days.
And I give the boys credit. We're consistent. They're probably a playoff team. They're good on paper. They should make the playoffs. It would be an enormous problem if they don't. But I'm sorry, I still am not going to buy, and trust me, I'm the biggest Oilers guy on this pod, I would probably say. I'm not going to buy that this team is going to make the cup. I just don't see it. If the playoffs started right now, they would play the Vancouver Canucks in round one.
Smoked.
That would be an awesome
Toast.
series.
Done.
That would, but they would get smoked. I think that I honestly, I would say 5.
Knocks in 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if they don't, Vancouver, Winnipeg, they're kind of battling back and forth for that top spot. Even if they play Winnipeg, I do not see a world where they can just crack down defensively. There's too many gaps.
Yeah. No way.
And if they end up playing LA again, I think they've played them the last 2 years in a row. I know they've had their number, but I feel like LA would win that series. I'm big on LA this year. They've got 3 really good lines, any one of which could quote unquote shut down the McDavid line. I hope they get in. I like watching them. McDavid should be in the playoffs, but I don't think they're a cup contending team.
No, and you're right. It's like go through all the teams that they might get matched up with. It's like every single one. I'm like, I'm picking that team. Like,
yeah. I think getting out of the first round for this team should be considered a win. I know it won't be quantified as a win, but if this team sneaks into the postseason and somehow wins a series, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's cup or bust for them. I mean, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, maybe we look dumb. They're 10-0 in their last 10. It's the middle of January, but I just don't think that that's going to carry its way into the playoffs. So we'll keep an eye on it. Stuart Skinner, he's probably going to be the most watched player for the rest of the year, I would say. So let's see what they do in the goaltending market too. I'd be interested. Just to kind of recap their 10-game win streak, give them some props before people from Alberta are shutting off this video. They beat the Devils, Rangers, Sharks, Kings, Ducks, Flyers, Senators, Hawks, Wings, and Habs. They swept that California trip. Some pretty decent teams in there.
it's like 50%. There's like 5 or 6 really good ones, a couple of really bad ones, but I mean that's the schedule. That's how it goes. Either way, 10-game winning streak is nothing to sneeze at.
No, absolutely not. So we're going to move on from one part of Alberta to go to another. The Calgary Flames. It appears they're in some trade rumors. After a tweet from Kevin Weeks, it appears Jacob Markstrom could be on the move this deadline. It is going to take a fucking haul to get him. He has been playing really well as of late. On my fantasy team, can attest he has been saving my bacon here lately. I feel like we're going to have all the same answers, but where would you see him fitting in?
I don't know. This is a tough one because I still think that there's a world where they don't move him at all, depending on where the Flames end up. I mean, they're just 2 points out of a wild card spot right now. But I guess just to have some fun with it, if we're kind of assuming that the Flames are gonna fall off, not make it, other teams will make it over them. I mean, obviously Edmonton needs a goaltender. I don't think there's a world where they make a trade to their rival like that. I just don't see that one happening. I think if anything, they'd go across conference, trade him. I could see him with like the Devils or something like that. I could see him. Who else needs a goalie on the Eastern Conference?
Well, they would never trade him to Edmonton, so we know that. But
no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want so badly for him to go to LA.
That'd be cool. They don't really need him though.
I don't know if they do though. That's the thing. We'll have to wait another week and see. But
I don't know.
I was going to throw Merzlikins in that LA. I was going to say because they got Big Save Dave as the backup right now with Copley tearing his ACL. I mean, Talbot can't start all the games.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe you want to solidify that a little more. I could see that one.
I'll throw a crazy one out here. I know some people are going to think I'm insane, but I mean, they have a player they could give up that could potentially fill in for Markstrom if the Flames want to stay competitive. Let's throw St. Louis in there. A little Binnington for Markstrom. Obviously, St. Louis
Wow.
they'd have to give up a little more, obviously, to sweeten the deal, but
That would be crazy.
I don't know. I mean,
that's if St. Louis is still playing for a playoff spot too. We don't know about them either.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just throwing that out there as speculate. I would say Markstrom's better than Binnington.
Oh, yeah. I
And
would
you know,
much rather have him.
for Calgary, you get some assets back, and you also get a somewhat-ish competent goaltender.
What about the Leafs? Do you think they'd
So
they don't really have much they could
Well, the Leafs, they do really like Swedish players, but I was thinking about another team that really loves Swedish players.
oh, you're gonna say the
the
Detroit Red
Preds or
Wings.
something?
Yep.
Oh, true.
Harry got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
The Wings.
I could see that too. Yeah.
they've had a
The
fucking
Leafs would have to
carousel.
I feel like the Flames would just be like, okay, Nylander, straight up, let's do this.
Oh my God.
after the mega. I mean, they would never
Right.
do it.
No, of
It's-
course not.
No.
So, like, but that begs the question that we were talking to Bones with, like, Marner, Tavares. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, just
It's because here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I've talked about this with the Leafs before. It's almost like a kid playing like NHL franchise or something. You're so like attached to like your goal scorers. You're like, but I like them all. It's like, yeah, but guess what? You're never gonna win a cup with Martin Jones, Ilya Samsonov, and Joseph Woll or whatever the fuck. Like, you either make the crazy move that you don't want to make or you don't. Like that's kind of what comes down to for me with the Leafs. And now I've got people turning off the podcast again on me, but whatever.
No, I totally agree with you. It's a very much shit or get off the pot kind of
Yeah,
mentality,
like-
and they're just like
they're
stuck in
gonna-
limbo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw this out there. Let's maybe get this circulating. But the Leafs GM, Brad Treliving, he was the general manager of the Calgary
That's
Flames
right.
not too long ago. Kind of knows Jacob Markstrom.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
know. He's not the one who signed Johnny T's deal or Barner's deal.
No, he's not.
God, that would be so interesting.
Crazier shit has happened, man.
That would be
That-
so crazy.
That would be fun. That would be
I'm
fun
I'm
trade.
here for the chaos for sure.
Oh,
It'd be so
absolutely.
sick.
All right, Jacob Markstrom going to the Leafs. You heard it here on Empty Betters podcast. Okay, so as
Yeah,
we
that's
move on,
confirmed at this point.
as we move on from that, you guys know if you've listened to the pod for a while, we are a uniform, opinionated podcast. There's a lot of critiques of modern day NHL kits. Well, they just dropped the All Star Game uniforms for the 2024 All Star Game. The NHL and Adidas, they teamed up with Justin Bieber's Drew House clothing line to create a quote unquote fresh new look for the 2024 Adidas Authentic NHL All Star Jersey collection, a blending of sports and pop culture. The sweaters were designed for the next generation hockey lover. I'm quoting that from Kristen Shilton of ESPN. Boys, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the All Star Game uniforms?
Well, I hate them. And now that you say designed for the next generation hockey lover, it makes a lot of sense because I feel like the three of us have been consistently trying to go back to the previous generation of hockey sweaters
Right.
all year. But yeah, these Happy Meal toys are sick, man. I mean, absolutely love them, right?
It really does have that look to
Like
it.
this
doesn't
is
it?
so brutal, guys. This is like a 4-team house hockey league. Like, come get your jersey out of like the 32-gallon trash can, and like whatever number you get is whatever number you wear, kind of shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
This like
you are
this,
spitting facts right now.
this just sucks. This is so bad.
It is, but I've seen a lot of things. I've seen like a toddler drew this. This is something like my mom hung on her fridge to be nice, that kind of thing. Like, which I kind of agree with it all. That being said, the more I spend time looking at it,
Okay.
Really?
the more that I'm kind of like, if someone gave me, like, for example, that yellow one or the blue one, I would probably rock it and I would probably like it.
Okay.
But am I going to spend like here? Because here's the thing. It's like I get the whole pop culture hockey thing. They're trying to like blend fashion into it. And that's what has a lot of hockey fans just like straight up confused and like not sure what the hell, because it doesn't really fit. They're trying to do something they've never done before, and it's scaring a lot of people, I think, is basically what's happening here. But I don't know how they're gonna look on like the players like in action. I kind of wonder what like the like whole
Yeah.
uniform's gonna look like. But
Yeah.
as like just a like a fashion piece, like I feel like I could rock one of these to the bar and it would probably look pretty sick on me. But like I don't know how I feel about it as like an actual like hockey jersey, if that makes sense.
I like how you
get
say
that.
rock it to the bar, and Harry, you and I know that all too well because that's all we did in college. It's like, okay, day drink, hockey jersey on, going to the bar.
So for those who haven't seen them yet, I would encourage you to go with a Google search. They've got a blue, a red, a yellow, and a white. To be honest with you, I do not know if one is assigned to each division. I'm sure it is, but I don't know which division gets which. I've been trying to find it, and maybe I'm stupid. I can confirm I am, and I
Yeah, I
can't
have
find
no
it.
fucking idea.
So I have to read this. You guys will get a laugh at this. I have an article pulled up from the Toronto Sun, and there's a couple comments about some quotes that people have for the jerseys. I'm going to read this real quick. In a statement, Drew House said the line was, quote, created to share joy and create a sense of community, which was our vision when designing these jerseys. But hockey fans were less than impressed with the design, with one Reddit user declaring, quote, these look like Hardy's and Carl's Jr. collaboration. The next one says, another Reddit user said the yellow one is straight up looking like some sort of Kraft mac and cheese. Another Reddit user said, I'm typically an ugly jersey defender, but these are an affront to humanity. A third critic wrote with a fourth begging Bieber to leave hockey alone. On Twitter, the jersey was said to have Doritos, Cool Ranch, and cheese flavor colors.
Oh my God.
So we've got
Yeah.
some highly.
I mean, it's all correct. I
I'm
can't
not
argue with
gonna
any of it.
lie. The first thing I thought of when I saw these was like the door when you open up your refrigerator. You've got your ketchup, your mustard, your mayonnaise, and the little squeeze bottle of garlic is the blue one.
All right. I'm gonna get my thoughts on these. So, full disclosure, when I first saw these, I was just like mindlessly scrolling Instagram. I actually didn't even know these were the All Star jerseys. I just was like, oh, like the KHL did something cool. Like, didn't even.
No,
I
straight up.
swear to
No,
God.
because
like
the red
Europe
one is
all over it.
Kunlun
Yeah.
Red Star to a
Yeah.
T.
No,
Yeah.
straight up. Yep.
So that's
Yep.
what I thought. I don't. I don't love them, obviously, but I will say this. I think that the red and the blue one are probably going to look pretty clean on ice. I don't love the white and the yellow one.
I think we've
The
talked.
blue one is the one that's been growing on me the most. Something about
Yes.
like the way that the lines look on the arms are like kind
Yeah.
of doing something for me. But yeah,
I feel like we've talked at length about how hard it is to make yellow look good as a
Yeah.
primary jersey color. So that's why I feel
Yeah.
like the yellow one falls off. But I'm in total agreement. The blue one is definitely the best looking out of the four.
A 1 to 10 rating overall, Mr. Manella.
3.
Oof.
I don't know.
Mac.
6.
I'll go
6.5. 6.5.
I'll go 5.5. I'll go 5. I don't hate them.
And
But
which
I
one would
don't
you
love
say is each of your favorites?
Blue.
Okay. Blue, in agreement.
I kind of like red. I've got a soft spot for red and yellow as a combo.
Oh, we know
so.
it's your favorite color. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, rock the red, right?
Yep.
Okay. I think we covered the jerseys there pretty well. I'd love to see the kits. Helmet color is going to play a role. Socks, pants. Can't wait to see it all.
real quick before we move on from sweaters, what do we think of what the Lightning did?
Oh, what the hell,
Are they
man?
wearing those?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
They're horrible.
That franchise is so fucking lost in terms of like uniforms. Like, God, they need so much help. It's not that hard. Your logo is a lightning bolt and like it's a storm. You can do so much shit with that. And they used to do so much shit with that. And now it's just like minimalist bullshit. If you want to hear me rant more about it, go to our YouTube page, and I roasted them in the worst I remember if that was worse logo or jersey because both of them suck so bad. But the new thing is they're just like grabbing at straws. They're like the pirate thing. They're like, I don't know, we're pirates now. Is this anything? And it's not. It's not anything.
I don't love the jersey. Don't get me wrong. I get like the pirate thing because of like Gasparilla and like the history of it down there. So at least it's somewhat relevant to the region.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I do like the logo.
Ooh.
I don't know if I love it for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but
Right.
like
Right.
you look at like some of the other Florida sports teams down there with like the Bucks, I think it like ties in.
Yeah.
Like if you were gonna do this as like I don't know, and this is gonna be the most Nick thing of all time, all black with that logo on it, like one off, sort of like what the Hurricanes do with the Whalers thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could live with that, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think, I sort of agree with you, Mac, that this is like a consistent third jersey that should be in their
The
rotation.
execution was also so poor. It's like an
Yeah.
all white jersey with like nothing else on it.
Way
It's
too much
like
white.
They nailed the logo and then they were just like, okay, just slap it on a white jersey and we're done. Like,
Yeah.
it
Harry, what do
just-
you think?
I hate them. It looks like a create a club in EASHL.
Yes,
You
yes,
haven't
thank
unlocked the
you.
other color combinations and jersey
Right.
patterns.
Straight up, they're like,
hate
you
'em.
have to wear this until you win 10,000 games.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, all right,
and
fine.
I'm not. I'd say out of the three of us,
All right,
I'm
that'll only
usually.
take me a couple days.
I think out of the three of us, I'm usually the nicest when it comes to jerseys. I hate these. I do not. like
Also, something just pissed me off about the stupid fucking video they made with the Pirates.
Yeah, that
like,
was so dumb.
and they don't even show the jersey really that well. And it took I couldn't tell when the fucking thing was starting over too. So I watched it like 4 times thinking they were going to show the jersey. And I was like, wait, I've seen this part already. It's a fucking
Plus, like, we
pirate.
missed our chance to see John Cooper as a pirate.
Right. Or like get Patchy the pirate in there. Come on now.
Right. The real pirate that the people want.
Exactly. All right. State of the Union. State of the Union. Let's
Yes,
go.
here we
State
go.
of the Union. All righty. Well, we've got Penguins State of the Union and Capital State of the Union coming at you. We'll switch it up this time. We're going to start with the Penguins. I'll cover that. The other two will cover the Caps. If you're new here, quarters in session. Hopefully that didn't break your ear holes when you were listening on your headphones. All right, the Pittsburgh Penguins. As of late, I would say they're playing pretty well. In the last 3 games, they played 3 very good teams, 2 of which are the hottest in the league. The Canucks, the Canes, and the Kraken. They snagged 4 of 6 possible points in those 3 games, 2 overtime losses, and a win coming against the Kraken yesterday on Monday. In terms of point percentage, they are the 9th best team since December 1st. I will take that any day. And as of today, hold on to your horses. They're in the wild card. And we would be taking on the Boston Bruins in round 1 if the playoffs started today on January 16th. Don't ask me how I feel about that. That's neither here nor there because the playoffs don't start today. I think the goaltending has been really good this season, especially as of late. Jari posting a shutout against the Kraken yesterday. He's now tied for the league lead with 5. And Nedeljkovic cooled off in the past couple starts, but he's played pretty darn well for the Pens this season. I had high hopes for him. He's lived up to them. I think as a tandem, they are definitely playing as like a top, dare I say, like 7 tandem since December. So I'm not really worried about the goaltending. I'm not even really worried about the 5-on-5. The power play is cheeks, as the kids would say. It is not going well. There was a little stint there where they kind of picked it up and had some closed door meetings. And guys, Todd Reardon, ever since the clip where the guy said, bro drew up fuck all or cooked up fuck all, and he was in the front row looking at Reardon draw up the power play on the little whiteboard, and it's blank. There's nothing on there. I can't get that out of my head.
See, what we did was he was a double agent. When you sent him over, we flipped him and sent him back.
Correct.
It's like an Uno reverse card, but it's just Todd Reardon's face on it.
He doesn't even know who he works for. He's so confused.
He doesn't know where he is.
He's pretty lost, I would say. But yeah, I mean, right now, if you look at the power play rankings in the NHL, the Penguins rank 28th at 13.7%. I mean, Jesus, guys, like we got the same basis of the power play for the last 5 years. They add in Erik Karlsson. I just don't really understand like how it can be that bad, but it is that bad. It's actually at the point where I can't wait for it to be over so they could actually play competent hockey again. I know that sounds crazy. I do want to say I'm hearing all these Gensel rumors, specifically to the Canucks. And like people, I'm in this like Twitter community for the Pens fans, and it's like 2,000 people in there, and it always blows up my phone. And people are saying what they would take from Vancouver and what
Is
they
that
wouldn't take.
a court ordered community you have to be a part of?
It is a court-ordered
Okay,
community,
yeah.
yes, just to confirm. And they're not going to trade Jake Gensel. I don't know why people think they would even entertain that, and I'll tell you why. They're in the playoffs as of right now. They're making a push. They got Erik Karlsson on this team to make them better than last year, to make the playoffs. They have Sidney Crosby still playing at an incredible rate right now. I would honestly throw his name in the MVP conversation. I know he's not top 10 in scoring. It's neither here nor there. I think should be in the MVP conversation. They are not getting rid of Jake Gensel. Could he walk? Yes, he could walk. And I would be very sad if he walked. I don't think he will, though. I think they value the homegrown talent. Came up through Pittsburgh, has been here ever since he started. He's been an incredible line mate with Sid. I just don't see they're going to make it work so that he can stay. And they are certainly not going to trade him. I would be stunned if they did that.
I totally agree with you. I don't really see that team dealing him. I think if anything, like you said, they're in a playoff spot now. Let's say we get to around deadline time and they're on the fringe. Maybe they're, one day they're in, one day they're out. I think they go down swinging. I think that's absolutely the mindset that team has. I think they're willing to risk letting that guy walk because, like you said, I really don't think he would leave. I think they would pay him whatever they could. And B, I mean, to make the Caps Penguins parallel, he's sort of like your franchise is Tom Wilson. You can build forward with this guy for the next foreseeable 5 to 7 years. He could potentially be wearing the C at some point with that team. So I think it just makes too much sense for them to keep him. I don't really think anyone could offer them anything that would be worth getting rid of him.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, so I would squash all those rumors. I don't really buy into that, but the Pens are playing pretty well as of late. I mean, I don't have the stat in front of me, but in their last 20 games, they're probably at like a 600 win percentage. They've cooled off a little bit in the last like 6 or 7 games, but 3 games against 3 really tough teams, and they got a point in every one. So I'm not going to be too mad at that. So we'll see what happens. I'm impressed with what the Pens have done since December. I'm really interested to see what happens at the deadline. I don't know what assets they have to give up if they want to get someone. That's also why I think Corey Perry maybe could be a fit on that fourth line. We'll see, but I think this is a playoff team. I jinxed them, reverse jinxed them several times this season. I declared them dead 2 months ago. I revived them a month ago. I'm reviving them again. They're a playoff team. They're good enough to make the playoffs. They should make the playoffs. They're better than the Capitals. They're better than the Red Wings. They're better than those teams that they're competing with to get in. Does it actually mean they'll get in? I don't know. Probably not, because I'm God's puppet, but I think they can get in.
We need the fucking Flyers and Islanders to start fucking losing hockey games.
Yeah,
Yes.
seriously.
Unfortunately, so out of those two teams, and my dad has recently been dipping into the advanced analytic community. Funny that we had Chips on. And every time I come home, he's like, God, like the Islanders are not a good team. I'm like, I know, Dad, like they're not. He's like, they give up the most high danger scoring chances in the league and they get bailed out. And I'm like, I know, Dad. He's like, it's crazy that they're like in the playoffs. I said, I know, Dad. Like, so I'd say, just based on my old man, I'm going to say they're the team that falls off.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm less worried about them. I think that like God will use them as a puppet and and bring them down back to earth. But I'm worried about the Flyers. I'm starting to feel like they're just going to make the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, it's another one of those like Torts took like his vial of Norcan out and just shoved it into the heart of that team, and then all of a sudden they've got a heartbeat again. So
it's like halfway through the season. I was looking at the standings today, and I'm like, holy shit, they would have to like really fall off.
No, they would have to like bomb to miss
they would
the
like
playoffs.
Actually really have to fuck this up. It might already. Yeah, it's already.
Well, the good news is that no Philly sports franchise could ever start out well in the middle, and then over the course of a season, and then royally fuck it up over the last 6 or 7 games.
There you go.
That can't happen ever. So
All right, I don't have much to say about the Caps. One thing I'll say is I'm starting to kind of like see the vision for Pacioretty a little bit. A couple games in, he's looking a little better. I'm feeling like he has a role on this team, and not that this is just like a random signing. I'm seeing the vision a little bit. So that's good. Ethan Bear put up his first goal, right? First goal as a Cap tonight.
Yep.
So that's cool. What else we got? Charlie Lindgren back. Loved the bold move of just starting him in back-to-back games because he's been that good. And didn't work, but it almost worked. He played really well in both games. All the Kemper haters, shut the fuck up. He's fine. I don't know, Nick, what am I missing?
I think, let's go from the top. Pacioretty's been great. I think, it took him a couple games to get up to speed, which is understandable considering the guy hadn't played a competitive hockey game in 2 calendar years, if we do the math.
Right.
I think the thing that, obviously you alluded to him getting on the score sheet, but I think the thing that I've been most impressed with is the passing. Some of the plays he's made, behind the net, off the half wall have just been fantastic.
The hockey IQ on that man is
it's a big one. I mean, you're looking at almost center-like passing from a winger, which is exactly what the Washington Capitals need. I think it's, let's talk about, centers and wingers for a second. I think the decision by Spencer Carberry as of late to move Evgeny Kuznetsov to the wing has been an interesting one. I think, while that has potential to just let him flourish in a little bit more of a strictly offensive role, it also really hampers him because he's used to having so much more ice to work with. And obviously, you know this from watching him for so many years, that guy needs a lot of room to wind it up out of the zone and weave his way through everyone before, deciding to shoot the puck.
I will also say, and this is crazy because I actually feel like I've said this exact sentence like 3 times this year alone and probably more times in past seasons. That last game, the Sunday game against the Rangers, might be the worst hockey game I've seen Evgeny Kuznetsov play in my entire life.
Yeah, I think I texted you in the middle of that game. It was just like, there was one clear he made on the penalty kill where instead of flipping it out of the zone, he decided to go to his backhand and threw it off Tom Wilson's ass.
Yeah, it seriously looked like he was like trying to like prove a point or something that like he doesn't give a fuck. Like I don't know what the fuck to say about that. So that was upsetting.
I mean, we are in full blown Alex Semin 2.0 mode now. I mean, he just does whatever he wants.
I also can't help but feel like it's one of those things where they're like putting him on the wing and he's like, I'm a center, so fuck you. Now I'm just not going to play hard.
Exactly.
Like it's like, dude, like.
I think it's well, I don't mean to rag on the guy, and let's be real, the guy absolutely should have won the Conn Smythe in 2018, but I mean, we have come so far down from that, it's not even funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks, but
one of the other bright spots that I want to highlight has been Joel Edmondson. I've been so pleased with watching this guy play defense for the Caps. Just the way like he positions himself, the ability to drop the gloves. I believe he dropped them tonight against the Ducks as well. Big hits, great breakout passes. An absolute flamethrower from the point when he wants to let it go. So I think this has been one of the biggest steadying influences on that backhand so far this season.
Last thing I'll say, and I think this is really cool, ever since we added Ethan Bear, there's been kind of this unwritten like sense of tension on the back end in Washington because it's like somebody's going to be the odd man out here. And, you've heard people say Jensen or TVR. And obviously you've still got Alex Alexiev, who is playing tonight for the first time. I think he was healthy scratched like 25 games in a row or something like that. So it's this like kind of friendly competition now of like, I don't know. It just, to me, it feels like a lot of those like kind of, I don't want to call them fringe because a lot of them have been like our core for a while, but Jensen, TVR, some of the guys that would be the first to get moved if you have an extra defenseman, they seem to be like just selling out even harder. Jensen was blocking shots like a madman last game. Like it just feels like these guys know that one of them is going to be the odd man out and none of them wants to be. So it's been kind of cool to watch them all just like sell out and give it their all. So that's good at least.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. It's great to see, iron sharpening iron there. A little bit of healthy competition within the locker room, I think is absolutely something that's great. I think you're absolutely right. I think one of those guys will absolutely be moved at some point. It's just a question of when and, finding the right fit and whatever their term is. But I totally agree. I love to see how much they've been really upping their game to sort of outduel each other, for lack of a better word.
Yep. And final note here: if we lose to the Anaheim Ducks, which that game is going on right now as I'm talking, then the whole season's over. So that's cool.
1-0 lead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
I have a yes or no question that I'd like to ask with not much explanation needed. Just a simple yes or no will suffice for the audience. Is Ovechkin going to break the goal record?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Not
Yep.
worried.
Yep, not worried.
Okay, moving on. Trivia.
Yeah,
presented
you
by
want some
Elwood.
trivia? Yeah, so just before we get into this question, reminder to support your local dive bar and have a beer at Elwood's Liquor and Tap, home of the Pizza Luge, located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee on Water Street. This 70s inspired bar has a little something for everybody. From daily happy hour, rotating taps, free birthday perks, and a 4-season patio, a good time is always right around the corner at Elwood's. With the full NHL package, plus TV screens indoors and out, hockey fans can watch any game, anytime. Don't leave your dogs at home. They're also a dog-friendly bar. We will see you down at Elwood's Liquor and Tap. All right, boys. This might be one of the more easier questions I've asked in a while. There wasn't a whole lot going on this day or on tomorrow's day in hockey history. I looked at both. This is probably the best one I could come up with. But I think I'll start by wording it in a vague way and see if you guys can get it from there. I'm gonna start really vague and we'll go from there. I can kind of reveal some details. So what would be your gut reaction if I just said what unanimous future Hall of Famer who is not currently in the NHL, so recently retired, but we can all agree is a unanimous soon to be Hall of Famer, scored his, let me make sure I get this right, scored his first and only hat trick of his career on January 17th, 2011 in a 7-0 blowout of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Patrick Marleau.
No, he's got to have more than one hat trick.
I feel like
Think critically here, fellas.
critically. So not necessarily a goal scorer, but definitely a Hall of Famer.
Indeed. And what kind of player might that be?
Like a two-way guy or a passer?
Or a defenseman.
Nick?
Bingo. Bringo.
Recently retired defenseman. Who's a recently retired defenseman that...
Oh,
you go.
Shea Weber.
False. Harry?
Fuck.
Is it Chara?
Ding, 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 ding.
Nice.
In his 13th NHL season on January 17th, 2011, the giant defenseman scored the first hat trick of his career in the Bruins 7-0 blowout of the Hurricanes. This is still the only 3-goal game of his remarkable career. This was also written a while ago, but I'm pretty positive he never had another one after that. So
Absolutely not.
What year was it written? I'm just curious.
I don't know. It doesn't tell me, but it leads in with saying, although Zdeno Chara is not a Hall of Famer yet, there's little doubt that he will be after he decides to retire. So it was before he retired when they wrote it.
Okay, so it's like a couple of years old.
But he definitely didn't fucking have one for like the Caps or the Islanders.
No.
I think we're probably in the clear.
So before we end this episode, and I know if you're still listening, one, appreciate you, and two, you might want to blow your brains out by now. But I just want to share this story because Mac was talking about, maybe this article might not be so recent. So every week we write the outline for the show and we all look at it before we record so we have an idea of what's going on. So when I was going to add some stuff to the outline, I was like, you know what? Like every week I'm surfing through the internet and I'm looking on Instagram at the NHL news, as it goes, as the week goes. It's like, why don't I just use fucking AI. Like everyone's like, AI is it's gonna take our jobs. It's gonna take over the world. I was like, fuck it, I'll use AI. So I ripped Chat GPT and I'm like, please give me the NHL news for the last 7 days, right? Free version. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm AI is like a foreign language to me. So I write it. I'm thinking
Hey,
this
you
thing is
said
gonna
please.
yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
like, this thing's gonna write me a book report that I could have a term paper submitted within 3 seconds. And it comes back to me, it goes, I'm sorry, my knowledge database only goes as current as January 2022. And I was like, what?
That's
So
fine.
so I was like, so I wrote it again. I said, please give me the NHL news within the last week. And it goes, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And I only go through January 2022. And I'm like, what the fuck is going? So I was like,
Wouldn't that be harder?
well, so it doesn't have a
Oh, wait.
memory.
Oh.
It doesn't have a memory like there's not the most recent you can get is January 2022.
Oh, I see.
But that's the free version. So there's a paid version.
Okay.
So it said, here's your free trial for whatever. I was like, fine, I'll cancel it. I don't care. So
Yeah.
I'm like, this one's up to date. Shoot. Please give me the NHL news for the last time. He goes, I'm sorry, my fucking whatever, like brain is not equipped to do news recaps and real-time data. If you would like to search the NHL news, please use the following links for NHL.com, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So I share all of this with you. You can't get Chat GPT to tell you the NHL news in the last week. There's still hope that we might not all lose our jobs.
Which is why you guys should still be
That's
listening to
good.
us.
Yeah.
every
exactly.
week.
You
Yeah.
can't just recap that real time. So,
we got you.
anyways,
We're not
Just-
saying we know more than the AI model, just more current information than the AI model. So
I would love to actually, you know, it'll actually be the end of it. AI will be able to give you picks based on
yeah, there you go.
fucking everything Chip's talked about, and then we're all
Yeah.
really dead. But anyways, I just felt the need to share that because I was like, wow, that's kind of a letdown. Anyways, that's the show. Hope you all enjoyed listening. Big thank you to Chips Picks Daily. Once again, go follow him on Twitter. If you guys don't have any final notes, we'll get out of here.
Shout out to the women's US team under 18s. They won World Juniors, so great to see that for them.
I second that. USA hockey at the top of the world right now. Love to see it. All right, everybody. Appreciate the love and support as always. And without further ado,
Class dismissed.